Thank you very much, and good to be here. So yes, away from energy and a bit of a dive then into the water sector. So essentially, water is a fundamental building block for public health, for well-being, and at the same time, it's really critical around unlocking growth and development in particular parts of the country. So what I thought I'd start is around sort of infrastructure generally, and just say a bit about the government's 10-year infrastructure plan. So in June 2025, the 10-year infrastructure strategy was launched. And this is all about join up. So this is looking across strategically what major infrastructure is required over the long term, and ensuring that government joins up and links up the various dependencies that are needed. So making sure, for example, that the water infrastructure, the energy infrastructure, and other infrastructure is in place, ready for development that's required nationally. It sets out 4 missions, so boosting productivity with the overall government mission around growth, supporting new housing through resilient services, delivering dependable public services, and that includes things like water as a sort of key enabling sector, and building resilience to climate change and demographic shifts. And underpinning the strategy are various tools that make sure that government can understand the picture of what's happening in any region or location, so that we can make sure that infrastructure can be unlocked and enabled where there are challenges. Water's mentioned 94 times in the report, which I think shows the importance of water as a sort of fundamental sector when it comes to infrastructure and development more broadly. So what's happening in water? So people will have seen the headlines and things. Water is a sector that's got some significant challenges, particularly around things like public trust. But water is also a fundamental sector in terms of infrastructure for enabling other things to happen, as I've said. And what we're going to see in water in the next 5 years, between 2025 and 2030, is 104 billion of investment into the water sector. So that's maintaining pipes, pipelines, and water infrastructure, and that's also around 44 billion of that is investment in new water infrastructure in order to protect, in particular, the environment. And that buys some significant outcomes. So 44 billion for new infrastructure and new resources. We're seeing the development of new water resource infrastructure like new reservoirs for the first time in many years in order to tackle the challenges around water scarcity, which I'll come on to shortly. A number of new large-scale water transfer schemes, lots of investment to tackle pollution, particularly things like storm overflows, to clean up rivers, lakes and seas, and upgrades to a number of wastewater treatment works, so making sure there's enough capacity in the wastewater system to take on growth and house building and new development nationally. So I said about water scarcity, and Minister Dixon, I think, referred to this earlier on as well. What we're predicting is a significant crunch when it comes to water in this country. The figure is something like 6 billion litres a day needed by 2055. And the reason for that is quite odd. We're a very wet island. People think of the UK as raining all the time. And in fact, what we've seen this year is significant drought nationally. We've seen a number of places having record low levels of rainfall for several hundred years. And I think the situation looks quite difficult for next year if we don't see a lot of rainfall over this winter. What we're seeing is due to climate change, rainfall patterns changing, and the amount of supply and demand for water in the UK system, meaning there's a crunch coming. So we're going to need to see a lot of investment into water infrastructure in the next 5 years, 15 years, 25 years in order to do that. And of course, it's a supply-demand balance. So there's a supply side, so ensuring that things like new reservoirs are built, that we can transfer water around the country where needed, but also on the demand side, so ensuring that the amount of water that's used in households and by businesses is reduced. And Minister Dixon referred to the target in the Environment Act to reduce the amount of water per person that's used. So, what's DEFRA doing in this space? There's sort of 3 main things that I was going to refer to. The first is reform of the water sector. So it's not really possible for me to stand and talk about water without referring to significant changes coming to the sector. So there was a review done earlier this year by Sir John Cunliffe, who recommended a series of changes to the water sector, and government will be releasing a white paper before Christmas that responds to that. On water efficiency, as Minister Dixon said, there's a consultation that's been launched in September, open till December, particularly focused on how we can ensure that we're bringing more water efficiency, particularly into new homes through building regulations. And also there's a water delivery task force. So what we've now got is a ministerial-led task force that focuses on unblocking challenges where particularly house building or development is constrained by either a lack of water or by lack of wastewater capacity. And what we have is a series of places where we're already acting. So in Sussex North, there were 21,000 homes due by 2029 that were blocked by issues around water scarcity to do with water in a really vulnerable habitat in the Arun Valley. And by working together with the local authorities, local planning authorities, Natural England, other regulators, and the local water company, we managed to unlock those homes by ensuring that there was enough water available to support the development of new housing there. And in Cambridge, a key focus for this government in terms of its growth mission, we've seen a number of new houses unlocked by doing some quite innovative schemes to ensure that there's enough water available in a traditionally extremely water scarce area of the country. So I guess just to conclude all of that, there's a huge appetite in government to ensure that water scarcity or wastewater treatment capacity is not a constraint on development or house building anywhere in the country. And so if there are issues arising, there's a ready market in government to act on those concerns, and there are mechanisms in government to make the decisions to ensure that house building can continue where water is an issue. Thank you very much.